Hello, everyone. Topher here. We had a bunch of meteorites for sale yesterday, and a bunch we didn't get to. Even though we did a 5-hour sale, we didn't get to all the ones I wanted to. So I figured I'd put a little video together to show you some of the meteorites that are still available that we weren't able to highlight yesterday. I'm going to run through these pretty quick, giving you the weights, prices, and a few of the nice features of each one. So this is a 63.75 gram for $56. These are all unclassified chondrites from Northwest Africa. This one shows ridiculously awesome fusion crust with contraction cracks in it. So this is I wouldn't say fresh fusion crust, but it is absolutely fusion crusted with contraction cracks in the fusion crust. And then on the back side, a little bit more of desert varnish or secondary fusion crust. But this is a beautiful example of an NWA that you can display sitting there just like this with that freshest fusion crust, fresh-ish fusion crust, if you will, with contraction cracks on it. That one is 63.75 grams for $56. So please, if you want to buy this one, go ahead and ask for it by weight and price, and we'll get that to you. The next two I want to show, I think maybe brothers from the same fall. So we have unclassified chondrites. This one here is the little one. This is 161 grams, has a great side of crust for $115. So 161 grams. Look at this massive surface area of crust you get. And it is really high quality fusion crust. Has a nice tactile feel to it. You can actually feel it. And when you look through, you can see there's contraction cracks on top, and there's loads of chondrules popping through the fusion crust. You can see a few down here, here, and here. Just a really nice example. And then here's the really nice exposed matrix. I wanted to talk about these two features here. What you have here are two large metal blebs that have oxidized and gotten wet and leached their metals into the surrounding silicates. So that's a sign of terrestrialization here on Earth, but it's a pretty cool example, I think, to look at the meteorite and see that. So this is a 161 grams for $115. And it has that beautiful side of fusion crust on it. The entire face is. Now, this is his bigger brother, I think. This one weighs 275 grams. And if you can read my writing there, it says 150. So this is $150. So under a little over 50 cents a gram because it's 275.9 grams. And you do get that beautiful fusion crust just like the other one. This has a remarkable contraction cracks. You got some nice metal blebs sticking out there and there. And again, really good matrix exposed on this one. This one has the same kind of terrestrialization where you have a metal bleb, an iron nickel metal bleb there that has gotten wet and leached its minerals, leached its metal into the minerals surrounding it. This is a really good example of one for a cutter. So if you were going to cut this is a great example of one you can put on your saw and take this entire fusion crust face right off and still have a bunch more slices to make going this way. So this is a pretty nice example of some amazingly contracted crust. $150 for 276 grams. And if you'd like to buy both of them, because I believe they may be brothers, I'll make you a deal on both of them. But we have those two available for you. Now let's go a little smaller. This one still has absolutely fantastic crust. Way smaller though. We're talking about 29 grams, 29.35 grams, and less than $1 a gram. So $25 will get you this meteorite. Look at the fusion crust quality on that. when I do my sales like this and I do unclassified meteorites, I'm not just trying to give you guys a real meteorite with weight. What I'm trying to do is give you something that you'd be proud to have and add to your collection, something that has really nice characteristics and features to it. As you can see, this fusion crust is absolutely raised in 3D. A really good example of a fusion crusted corner of a stone. This is not an oriented stone. This is just a corner that broke off of a bigger, much bigger stone. And I do have my magnet here. So if you want me to do a magnet test, it's light, very, very light magnetism. As you can see, the magnet just barely hangs on. So I would put this in the LL column, to be honest with you, just based on that information alone. In case you were interested in some of the magnetisms on the previous rock, this is the 63.75 gram one. This one was $56 and has a substantial draw to it. I would say this is in the H class. Then we have the two brothers. This is the larger one. That's moderate draw. I would say this is in the L. So that gives you an idea of some of the stones that we were looking at so far. Here's another one that is a crusted corner. This is 46.45 grams. And quite honestly, this one should be more than $38. So this one is not going to last. I've pointed out a few of my stones that I'm selling that I know are an amazing deal. And this is just one of them. So this is, again, 46.45 grams, and it's only $38. The entire thing is dark fusion crust. Maybe a little bit of desert varnish, but right there in here. So again, it's another broken off corner of a stone. The magnetism on it is pretty, that's moderate to low. I'd still put it in the L column. But if you look at the crust on it, for $38, that is a fantastic addition to a new collector or just a shelf specimen for an experienced collector. But that is a beautiful example. And right here, you actually see one of my favorite features of it. You see a chondrule, or actually a large chondrule, sticking through the fusion crust. So that's a pretty, this is a really nice one. Like I said, this one's going to sell without a doubt. There's more chondrules sticking through the fusion crust. You can see two of them right there. Three of them. Yeah. So this one is not going to be around. The first one to claim it gets it. It is the 46.45 gram one for $38. Next, I have a slice. This is a possible L5. It's unclassified, but it's my best bet is an L5. 15.39 grams for $22. It's a full slice, fully crusted. The case is extra. The case is $2 extra. So the meteorite by itself is I'm sorry, the meteorite is 20 with the case is $22. If you don't want the case, if you don't need the case, take $2 off and it's only $20. So the meteorite slice by itself, 15.39 grams for $20. Got a really good looking chondrule up there. A lighter gray one there. It's got some pretty good color to it. A shock vein going through it, as you can see. And it actually goes through the whole stone because you can see it on this side as well. You can see chondrules are present, but they're not overly abundant. So that's why I put this one as a 5 on the petrological scale. And you do have a nice crust line around the entire stone because it is a complete slice. So again, this is the 15.39 gram possible L5 with the case for $22. Here is a 225.8 gram unclassified chondrite for $110. So 226 grams for $110. And it really has a nice external to the stone. Beautiful external that rolls over to this side, showing signs of being part of an oriented meteorite. Not quite sure if this is a feature of rollover but it may possibly be, because it does show a little bit of piling up of the fusion crust around the edges. But still, just a really cool meteorite. You're looking at a moderate amount of draw to it. So probably in the L column, which is the most common. You don't see a whole lot of small chondrites packed together. So I'm going to put this as an L6, possibly, something like that. Again, I'm not a classifier. I'm just giving you my opinion, as I would when I'm buying it out in the field. This shows a cool feature right here. Look at this larger than usual chondrule sticking through the fusion crust. And obviously you can see the fusion crust is definitely tactile. You can feel it just by rubbing your finger over it. If you've never had a meteorite that you can feel, if you've never had a meteorite in general, or a meteorite you can feel the fusion crust like that, it's a pretty cool experience and a pretty cool thing to have in your collection. So this one kind of has a little bit of orientation, maybe a little bit of rollover. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not going to sell it as oriented, but a pretty cool hunk of meteorite nonetheless. And it displays pretty well just by sitting out like that. So again, this one is the 225.8 grams for $110. The next one is a near complete stone. It's just missing a little bit of fusion crust. Yeah, so this one is 105 grams, 105.38 grams for only 65 bucks. So we're approaching the 50 cents per gram. And it's another unclassified meteorite. This one is from Northwest Africa. You'll see that it's missing patches of crust, but it is a complete stone. This one would be a nice one to, well, I say this about a lot of them. This is a nice one to just as display as it is. Or if you wanted to, you could do a little cutting. And there's a feature I want to point out to you. That is a massive chondrite right there. So if anyone had plans to do a thin section, this would be great material to do a thin section on right there on the edge. Good for displaying, because that chondrite right there is really massive and a really key feature of this meteorite. And on this side, it's absolutely flat. So it actually sits up and displays really nicely. And you can see that chondrite right there on top. So this is another beautiful one with a cool feature. It's 105.38 for 65 bucks. This one is a partial individual. It's 171.55 grams for $87. And you can see a little bit more desert varnish than fusion crust. You can tell the desert varnish because it is a lot shinier compared to fusion crust. I have an example of fusion crust right here to show you the difference between fusion crust and desert varnish. The texture is there, but you can see the fusion crust in this one right here is not nearly as shiny, not nearly as flat and glossy. So this would be classified as fusion crust. And this is desert varnish. This is what happens to fusion crust. So this is real fusion crust, but it's just been blown by the Saharan winds and baked in the sun for as much time as it's been on Earth, or buried under sand dunes. So this is 171.55 gram for $87. Really shows some nice features in it as far as just the externalness of the stone, the fact that it was a individual stone that's broken up is pretty neat. There is a really nice metal bleb sticking prominently up right there. So it's got some really nice features. This is a one that I wouldn't be scared to cut if I were you. It's not that expensive per gram. It's going to be beautiful on the inside, or you can just display it as is for 171 grams for $87. Now, here is one that is really, really interesting. Okay. This comes from, I'm sorry, this comes from Morocco. It is 45.57 grams. It's only $25. I always said $50, but it's only $25. This comes from my buddy Nuruddin Azelmat. If you look at this, you have a cut meteorite. Now, the cut meteorites usually demand a little bit higher price per gram because of the effort and energy that goes into it, as well as the cutting loss that it's experienced. But if you look at this one, see those swirls of colors? That's not artificial, and that's not an artifact of my lighting that I have going on. What you're seeing is really what the meteorite looks like. And I can prove that by looking at the outside of the stone. It looks the same weird colors. You have the purples, the tans, the green swirl coming through there. It is a really, really unique meteorite. It's I'm going to call it moderate to substantial pull. So I'm going to put it in the L, probably L to LH. It's got some pull. So it's got some metal in there, but it's really got a beautiful look to it. You see a nice round chondrite down here, another one over here. And then on the outside, you can literally see the chondrites and metal formation and different colors throughout it. It's really a very beautiful meteorite. It's unique because I don't have very many that have purples and greens and yellows and tans in it. And it is through the whole meteorite. So that's a really beautiful meteorite from Nuruddin Azelmat. 45.57 grams for only $25. There's only one of them, so buy it now because you're gonna kick yourself if you didn't. This is going to be one that's cut and polished. So it's an NWA 51.26 grams for $45. The reason I'm charging, I'm approaching $1 a gram, but I'm still well under $1 a gram. But look at the features of this. You have a really nice hand-sized nugget, partial with contraction cracks in the fusion crust or in the desert varnish. You can see how the fusion crust is no longer in these little voids, so you can see how thick or how thin the fusion crust really is. And then comes the cut and polish side, and it's gorgeous. It's got a really nice metal surrounding feature right there. These are weathering cracks through the meteorite, but it is showing a good amount of metal. Some really nice chondrites still in there. There's another one down here, here. So just a beautiful meteorite, especially with that metal. That metal right there is what really makes it spectacular on that side, in addition to the remnant crust or desert varnish on this side. And the magnetism, as you can imagine, is kind of low here, but watch this. Right there, you feel here, that's sticking right on that metal. Here, not so much. So let's take a gander on this side. It's kind of low, relatively low magnetism, moderate to low magnetism all throughout, with the exception of that beautiful feature right there. So this is cut and polished, 51.26 grams for $45. Here's a really unusual, nice colored slice of a meteorite. That's right, it's sliced, not an end cut. This is NWA Unclassified. It's a 29.65. I've looked at it and I assess it to be a possible L5. My normal on sale price is $35. I have no idea why I marked it down to 27, but it's now $27 for 29 grams of a slice, and it's a really cool, unique orange colored meteorite. So I'm putting this as an L, a possible L5. The L because of the low to moderate magnetism. And then when you look at the slices, you do see some chondrites. There, for instance, is one right there. There's more down here. And I'm not exactly sure what that white thing is right there, but it'd be interesting to look at closer. There's more chondrites down here, but a really interesting orange color. It's a complete slice. So you're going to have a external side of the stone on all. And I'm not sure if this is the side we were showing originally, but we'll take a look at it. Now, this is a different side. You can see there's chondrites all throughout here. So really a beautiful slice of a meteorite. So if you don't have a slice of a meteorite or you don't have an orange meteorite, here's your opportunity to grab one. It is, sorry, my wrist is kind of hurting me, but it's 29.65 grams, possible L5, marked down to $27. There you have it, folks. All right. The next one is a thick slice. I'm gonna have this one marked down extra today as well. So it's only $40 now. This is a thick slice with really nice metal in it. It's a dark meteorite. It's 62.74 grams. And it has external view of the stone. So you literally don't have to settle for only seeing a thin part of the outside of the stone. You actually get a good representation of what the stone looked like. And here's the inside. There's not a whole lot of chondrites present without zooming in. I'm not sure exactly how. Let's just try to zoom in real quick and see what it looks like. Yeah, there's definitely some chondrites in there. I'm not exactly sure what the classification would be, but the magnetism on it is fairly light. So except for right in that little spot right there. There seems to be some metal right in there. But here's the other side of it. This is beautiful. This side's really pretty. So literally, if you wanted to, you could make some slices out of this. It still has enough room for slices, or you can display it the way it is. And it does have some really nice metal flakes in there. So again, this has been marked down on, if you want to call it clearance, it's on clearance. My sale price was 50, but I marked $10 off today. So it's 62.74 grams for $40, and that's the thick wedge. When we go to individuals, this is a complete individual, and it's an affordable. So you can say you own the entire meteorite. Again, this one is marked down on today. My normal 10% off special price is $20, but I took an extra $2 or 10% off today. So this is a complete 26.15 gram stone for $18. And of course, it's going to have some nice features. I'm not just going to put a meteorite out there because it's a real meteorite and it weighs some grams. I'm going to give you something that has some nice character to it, something that you would be proud to have. And you can see a little bit fresher of fusion crust down in here. This is a desert varnish stone. It's not fresh fusion crust, but it is a complete, there's little mini regmaglyphs on it. Look at that. You can say you own a complete regmaglyph stone. But this one right here, imagine this falling to earth. 80% of the volume is, 80% of the mass is lost upon entry. So this would have been the size of a tennis ball upon entry into our atmosphere. And our protective layer burnt off all but this. And this is complete and it remains. So if you'd like to buy that one, it is only $18 for 26.15 grams. This one has desert varnish on it, but it's a nice little meteorite, 74.09 grams for $40. So 74.09 grams. And I always want to point out interesting things about the meteorites that you guys may not know. So even though this may not be fresh fusion crust, and you'd be saying, well, I really don't want to buy anything that doesn't have fresh fusion crust. Why would I want to buy this meteorite? Well, it's from space to start with, so that's pretty stupid. No, it's $40 for 72 grams. And this one is really neat because it tells a story of it's terrestrial life here on Earth. What you're looking at is weathering cracks. These weathering cracks happen over eons of time, thousands of years here on Earth, with them freezing and warming and thawing, freezing and thawing, expanding and contracting, and eventually getting these cracks. Then the Sahara Desert blows the sand into these cracks and it gets trapped in your meteorite. And you can tell it's Sahara Desert sand because when you zoom in and look at the sand itself, they're very, very rounded. They're not angular. They've been blown around in the Sahara Desert for a long, long time before they got trapped in your rock, your meteorite. So here's another view of Sahara Desert sand grains embedded and stuck in the weathering cracks of the meteorite. So even when it doesn't have particularly like awesome fresh fusion crust and has a great story behind it because you saw it fall or it's a witness fall, it's a classified. Sometimes a meteorite just tells its own story for being its own meteorite. This is a 4.5 billion year old rock that landed on our planet and is still telling stories. So here's another, there's sand stuck throughout it. So that's why I wanted to highlight this one, because if you didn't know that was a feature or something that you could look for in meteorites, well, there you have it. So again, this one is 74.09 grams for $40. Now I have 3 more that I'd like to show. And this one is a individual. It's not a complete individual. It is 15.1 grams for a stinking measly $10. $10, guys. So here you have it. Look at this. And each side of this meteorite has cool stuff to it. You'll see right there an obvious, really nice chondrite. And you rotate it around a little bit more and look, there's another one right there. I'm not exactly sure what, no, that's just a reflection, but there's another one somewhere on here I saw earlier that I wanted to highlight. But again, just another very interesting, cool meteorite that tells a story. And it is a complete, well, it's an individual. So you can tell it went through some type of event right here. Maybe that was a weathering and it popped off, or maybe, yeah, it seems to be a weathering thing where it popped off, but this actually made it to Earth all in one. And this one, it can be available to you as make a great gift, to be honest with you. If you have a friend that doesn't have a meteorite, ooh, it's magnetic as heck. I'd put that one in the H column all day long. So that's a pretty cool, nice individual, 15.1 gram, probably H class chondrite for $10. Great gift. Then here is a complete individual. So this is 15.97 grams for $13. And it is a complete individual. This one, if you look at it at this angle right here, look at that metal. All these metal blebs right in here. It's really a good looking meteorite for being complete and extremely affordable. You're talking about $13 for a complete meteorite. Imagine you were walking around the desert of Sahara and you found this meteorite out there. You would want more than $10 for it. I'm just saying. But a really nice little example. And I bet it's an H class. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of metal in this puppy. So I'd probably put that in the H class if I were pressed to give you my opinion and my opinion only. So again, if you're looking for a gift for someone, even if that someone is yourself, this is a $13 complete meteorite. You would own the main mass. 15.97 grams for $13. And this is the last meteorite for purchase today. This is actually cut and polished. So you have 23.12 grams, and $20 is my normal, live sale price, but I went ahead and took an extra 10% off. So now it's at $18. And yes, it's a one of one. So the first person that claims it gets it. So 23.12 grams. And check this out. Try to complete the illusion, Michael. No. So what you basically have is a pretty nice little odd-shaped meteorite, obviously weathered and worn in the desert. You can see the desert varnished fusion crust right there. But what's really interesting about this is the interior. Well, let's do a magnet test. It's light, very light. I would say this is an L. I'm sorry, LL. Look at the inside. What are we looking at? Like I said, there's very low metal in there. There's definitely chondrites. You can see all the chondrites right in here, but it displays a really weird texture. I'm not exactly sure what this is, guys. It is definitely a meteorite, but I have no idea what class it is. It is absolutely gorgeous and unique, and I only have one of them. So if this is your flavor, here's your price. It is a 23.12 gram cut and polished two-piece for $18. Well, that is all the meteorites I wanted to show you guys this weekend for sale. I definitely appreciate your support. Now I'm going to show you some of my meteorites that are not for sale. These are my personal collection. I hope you have a great weekend. Please reach out to me and contact me if you'd like to purchase anything that I showed previously. 15.5 kilo bougia from Kenya. An unclassified 8 kilogram, a St. Alban, 1,500 grams. There's one of Velus's first find. I think it's Tazertine 001 or 002. The main mass to Aurora 003, my Unclassified. It is available. A beautiful, nearly 10 kilo NWA that's been classified. We have a nice mesosiderite slice back there. Udai station. Nice Unclassified. This is my 10.25 kilo compo. My 7.25 kilo compo. Some main masses back there. And then the brand new Albright. All right, people, thank you so much. I appreciate your help and your watching my videos and hopefully buying my meteorites. Have a great weekend, everybody.